Today is Baldur's Gate 3's birthday. It has been out for 2 years now, exactly to the day, and it completely changed my life. And I've met and heard from enough people in the community now to know that I'm not the only one. Video games impact people's lives all the time, and the communities that grow up around them can be incredibly important to people for many reasons. BG3 did a lot for me personally, and I honestly just want to yap about everything for a little while and celebrate the game's anniversary. Hi, I'm Morgana Evelyn, and if you've ever been curious about me or my YouTube journey, or why I can't seem to put this game down for long, grab a cuppa and settle in for this video, as I'm going to ramble on about my favorite subject, Shadowheart's BG3. Alright, let's start from the very beginning. A couple of years ago, I was almost killed working a contract and got fired from my job. There were a lot of factors involved, and it's quite the long story, but it's not something I can get into without risking my privacy, so the short version will have to do. The result was I was quite depressed, losing my livelihood and purpose in life. I tried everything to distract myself, and my form of escapism was through gaming. My friend at the time gifted me a copy of Baldur's Gate 3, which was very kind of him, as I always wanted to play D&D, but it was quite inaccessible where I was living for a few reasons. I didn't have many friends, and I have a lot of social anxiety. I also lived about an hour away from town, and we were on satellite internet, which made voice and video calls stutter with lots of delay. It took me a while to download Baldur's Gate 3, which was in early access at the time. I got really hooked on it. It featured a new system and rules that I really wanted to learn and figure out. In my first session of BG3, I played as a ranger and made it all the way to the Grove fight. I know that doesn't sound like much, but the Nautiloid was a lot bigger back then. I couldn't get enough. It was on my mind all the time, and I was obsessed. I would look up more information about 5e and BG3 online and learn as much as I could, as I'm a pretty obsessive personality type. We eventually organized a co-op session in anticipation of patch 7, which was dated February 16 in 2022. It was a party composed of my friend who gifted me the game. He played a bard, my partner at the time, whose character I don't remember, but I knew I had to play a dwarven barbarian for this campaign. Her name was Katniss, which I came up with just spamming the crap out of a fantasy name generator. It was so fun that playthrough. The most memorable moment for me was the goblin camp. Our bard got us into trouble, and we were fighting all of them outside. We needed to get some space to fight back, so I went into a rage and held off the entire camp to protect my party's escape up the ladder. I felt like a literal Giga Chad, taking everything these goblins could throw at me until my people were safe. My memory of that playthrough is pretty fleeting, as we had just discovered the Underdark when life happened between all of us, marking this the end of that campaign. But that just left me so curious and hungry for more BG3. I started many new single player campaigns and even explored the mods that were already starting to be available during this era. I didn't want to ever progress my save into these new areas, just in case my old party wanted to get back together and continue our adventures. I held on to this hope for many months, but eventually it became clear my friend had ghosted me, so I gave up and started exploring the Underdark with my partner. I actually do have some footage of this playthrough. I was playing a sorcerer named Karen, and she was playing a Beastmaster Ranger. I had so much fun just fireballing things, and Sorcerer was super powerful in early access, thanks to a circuit that gave me a bonus action whenever I dealt fire damage. This was cut from the final release, but you might find a similar item called the Pyro Quickness Hat. Returning back to my real life situation, I think I finally got a grip on myself around this point, and I moved interstate to continue career work again. Things were pretty lonely in this country town. The internet was cheeks, and the only things I did after work was either go to the pub or go hunting at the local farms. Okay, meet the next character of the story, Smokey. Smokey was the only survivor of his litter. I found him under the house where his mama, a pig hunting dog, was hiding after giving birth. I had to crawl under the house to get them out. I was covered in dirt and was so cramped up under there. One by one, I carefully extracted the litter and made sure mama and the surviving pupper were okay. I know this is a bit of a sidetrack, so I'll just fast forward a bit. Smokey was growing up fast and we were taking him out on hunts. This incident happened when we cornered 2 pigs up in the hills. It was kind of steep and rocky and I really couldn't see anything at night, but I had the idea to carry old Smokey to get a lick of blood for a taste of his future as a hunting dog. I don't know what I was thinking, carrying a puppy up the mountain in the pitch black with a rifle slung over my shoulder. It really sucked. I got stung and pricked by the native plants and my pace was slow. We had scaled maybe a few hundred meters away from the parked ute before we decided to call it a lost cause. I kid you not, literally the first step going downhill, I rolled my ankle and dropped my rifle. But you best bet, I held on to Smokey like a champ, making sure not to crush him. I got up and tried taking a step. Something was wrong. My foot literally wasn't working. I was stubborn and kept putting weight on it, like work your shit thing. But yeah, the adrenaline was probably working overtime because I was determined to walk back down that hill. It was quite the situation as I couldn't just roll or crawl down due to all the plants and rocks in the way. Luckily, my housemate carried me on his shoulder all the way back to the ute. I went to the hospital that night and the doctor in shift stated that I had just a sprain. The timing was pretty bad. It was just before my holiday was supposed to start and I had to be back home, which was a bit of a drive. And what did I do? I drove 13 hours interstate using that scuffed foot. My partner at the time visited me for my birthday, and when she saw my foot, she was like, yeah, that ain't right. So she forced me to go to the local x-ray clinic. When I had my x-rays taken, the technician's reaction was literally, I think you should go to the hospital, like now. It turned out I had the worst fracture in my ankle the doctors had ever seen, and they were actually amazed at my pain tolerance when they learnt I used the exact same foot to drive over half a day interstate. The hospital experience was awful and humbling, but the short version is that some plates and screws were installed and it was on to the next chapter of my life. The recovery sucked. I was bedridden. Pain was constant and intense. I literally just watched movies and played games until I passed out every night. And when you play that many games for that long every day, you get pretty bored. It was around this time that hype was building up the launch of Baldur's Gate 3. Meet Panel from Hell 9. It was the release showcase for the game and I was literally glued to the screen with excitement. I remember how passionate Larian was about BG3 and the energy and vibes you got from watching this was truly something special. I knew Larian through Divinity Original Sin 2, which I'd already put over 400 hours into before BG3 was even a thing. I had no idea I'd even enjoy turn-based RPGs until DOS 2 got its hooks into me. I'll get into this a bit more later, but right now I'm saying I had a very strong gut feeling that Larian's new game was going to shock the game industry. This was around the time I started looking at trying new skills, more specifically video editing. Heavily inspired by Qrystral Cat, I did a meme super cunt off the Panel from Hell 9.
He's going to regret coming.
One of my very first edits on this channel. There wasn't necessarily a lot of technical skill in this video. It was mainly cutting and putting clips together. I was a hobbyist video editor and I loved BG3. It was fun experimenting and making whatever videos I wanted just for the hell of it. The very first video that actually caught attention was the owlbear one.
Like she over here, she's like broken, like owlbears, like come check it out. Like it's fantastic. We love seeing that stuff.
Where I literally just stacked boxes and used crushing flight to jump on enemies. It was super fun to make and I really enjoyed editing the jumps and cuts to the music. Fast forward a few months and I made the Stealth Archer video. That one kinda blew up and put my channel on the radar. I was playing around, sandboxing in BG3, and out of laziness, I used some hotkeys and some DOS 2 engine tech just to expedite some progress on my save. When I figured out this stealth abuse, now with the video, people were suddenly watching me and I wasn't used to the attention or spotlight. My memory is pretty hazy at this point, but I think I was just done to walk again and got physio around this time. I went back to work with my family on the farm, only doing really light vehicular stuff as I wasn't quite right with my mobility. Whatever time I had left, I would just boot up BG3 and make videos. The Stealth Archer video did the rounds, like the algorithm really picked it up. If you suffered it in your home feed, I do apologize. But yeah, I can't believe this is close to 1 million views to this day. I think its success was due to a very silly concept that BG3 didn't see much use of at the time. And I injected a lot of my dry humor into a mini narrative for the video. I enjoyed being powerful in Baldur's Gate 3, so much so that any gimmick, glitch or concept that gave power to the player, I would try to make a video on it. And what was trending around that era? Build videos. Yep, the BG3 YouTuber pipeline, becoming a build bro. I tried making these build videos and montages to varying success, but I guess my heart wasn't fully into it. Like I said, I enjoyed player power and getting to it as early and easily as possible, or even just in silly, unintended ways. I enjoyed showcasing and sharing all these different interactions, much more than just a straight build guide. So that was always my approach from the beginning. This part of the timeline, I was still working with my family, but our lease on the farm was coming up to 20 years, and we finally made the decision to end our agreement. At this point, I was so bloody obsessed with BG3 and making videos. It was always on my mind. I wasn't fully sure what the right thing to do was at this point. Was it to stick with YouTube or go back to career work? Both were risky. YouTube wasn't stable. If anything, I wasn't making much money, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 on a good month. My old job could guarantee my financial freedom if I survived a few seasons and made it out the other side. The problem was my limited mobility, which is a very detrimental thing. Could you guess which one I chose? Yeah, the game with Shadowheart in it. Larian introduced honor mode with patch 5 at the end of November. I was so obsessed I completed my first run and my first level 1 run on that difficulty in less than 2 weeks. Yes, I had content ideas I wanted to get out quickly, but also enjoyed the challenge. After so long playing Tactician, the way honor mode changed the game was a fun puzzle for me to solve. Playing the game so much, I actually got somewhat skilled at it. Maybe not, but I'd like to hope so. So I thought it'd be cool to try to beat the game solo as my favorite character, Shadowheart. It took me many attempts. I think close to like 10 or 11 before I got my first solo honor mode win under my belt. I don't think there was much solo content at this point. Even if there was, I was way too stubborn to look up a guide. And I wanted to do things my own way through pure stubbornness, and well, I forged my own solo run, and the resulting journey ended up as one of my most popular video series. Can I beat honor mode solo? I was learning a lot at the time, and it was quite the scuffed playthrough, but I guess it resonated with many of my lovely viewers, all the tricks and tidbits I picked up along the way. Honestly, figuring out the pathing and solving those encounters my own way really helped to reinforce for me how much I wanted to play the game on my own terms. I do get asked a lot for clean and gate-kept rule set runs, and I have done fighter and barbarian solo runs that way, but I don't really get much entertainment out of the expected combat loop. I rather do stupid shit like force feed and magical hand steroids to yeet a lobster lady into the abyss. Anyways, I loved this solo series. It was fun, informative, and a treat to edit. It's currently my 5th most viewed video at 750,000 views. It wasn't all fun and games, as I was stupid enough to dive into YouTube full time, which means my financial situation was always fluctuating. My channel was doing okay. I mean, I made enough money to feed myself and just get by, which I don't really need or want anything more in life. As long as I paid the bills, slept in a nice bed, and ate KFC and whiskey every now and then, I would consider myself happy. I was starting to get into the groove of making videos. Like every single project, I would challenge myself to improve something. One of my favorite series is the Impossible Challenge, where I made the conscious content decision to live stream alongside my recording because it achieved a few things for my channel. Obviously, the first thought that comes to everyone's mind is AdSense and revenue, which yes, you're right, it does help with that aspect, though not as much as people might think. Maybe around $69. Nice for the initial live stream, working up to 150, around 30,000 views, but it can easily take 8 months to build up to that point. Honestly, I am very aware I'm in a position of privilege when I get to play a video game for a living and earn money. But I think the other reasons I stream are more important to me. The biggest reason I stream is I don't really get to play games. I know, the irony, right? My week consists of just purgatory at the desk. Since I brought up the impossible challenge already, I'll use it as an example. It took me 2 weeks for the script, and after 63 pages and 22,000 words, another 2 weeks to record the voiceover for that video. The editing process did take about a month to turn this 43-hour playthrough into a 2-hour movie. This video is one of the ones I'm most proud of, and I really wanted to improve my narrating and scripting for this project. I digress, but the point is that playing a video game is a small percentage of what I actually do on YouTube. I could play for maybe 5 to 20 hours in a week, then edit that footage for 80 to 100 hours. Here's where live streaming helps my mental health. It is part of the week where I get to hang out and engage with my audience and community with a video game, and it is the coziest thing ever to me. It's my dedicated time where I can just chill out and have fun. Even if it's a scuffed challenge stream, it really means a lot when I get to interact with the very audience that has given me a platform. The very last reason I live stream is to have a record of my runs. This serves 2 purposes. First, it's a complete look at pathing and decision making for anyone who wants to go back and understand anything more clearly. And second, it's a sad fact that it's very easy to cut and edit footage to make content with a forced narrative or unnatural outcome. With mods that provide almost any function you can think of and so many strange and unexpected game interactions, it can be difficult to understand what's happening sometimes. I feel like I'm pretty known now for my scuffed and chaotic runs and experimenting with weird interactions, synergies, glitches, exploits, and shortcuts. Usually those things are to expedite a playthrough, but I do know that sort of gameplay isn't for everyone. It's definitely a playstyle I enjoy and one I'll never give up, but I do try to make my content as inclusive as possible. Can I confess something? I wasn't lucky enough to get a patch 8 stress test code in my inbox. It was actually Iron that sorted me out, and oh my god, I'm so glad she did. I used my autistic BG3 knowledge on build testing to try out the 12 new patch 8 subclasses on stream, and that video that Alex edited of that live blew up, and I freaked the out because I had barely any videos in my catalog at that time. I was close to 100,000 subscribers, and maybe it's the imposter syndrome talking, but I felt like the content quality of my channel did not match the number of subscribers I had. I think it was at this point where I noticed growing pains. I wanted to treat my channel more seriously, like something worth the time and attention of my audience. I wanted to produce very high quality content that either entertained or informed my audience. With the layer of shitposting, I'm sure a lot of you are used to by now. I was starting to become proud of my work. I poured my heart and passion into my projects, but there was another issue beginning to form. I was just one person, and the amount of work and all the little tasks were becoming a little bit too much for me. So I sought help with the growing pains of my channel. Iron Tooth, who I met as a live stream regular, started to work for me, helping with various tasks. Her contribution to my channel cannot be stated enough. I would write the initial script for my videos, and she would finesse it before it reached the recording part of my workflow. Sometimes I would get stuck with an idea and articulate it really badly, or just repeat a lot of words. She would be there to swoop in and clean it up. For instance, the Stealth Archer script was so meticulous. In fact, I joked around that it was a university lecture about not only a BG3 build, but an underlying foundation on how to conceptualize and create a build. 60 pages on that bad boy. Another person who has come along and helped me with my channel is Alex, who's starting to become a regular editor to fill in my large upload gaps so you all aren't left hanging for too long. He is amazing at his craft, and he transforms my streams into really fun videos. I never thought of myself as a boss or employer, but seeing how much passion and care he has in editing, I wanted to do my best to nurture that skill set he has, which leads me on to the next part. where are we now? I had this really obsessive internalized goal of achieving 100,000 subscribers. To me, it felt like I had made it on YouTube. If I just got the plaque and check mark, like in my mind, it meant social proof and status on the platform. Yeah, I know it's a little vain, but I wanted to be a part of this elite creator pedigree. In actuality, it's literally just an arbitrary number on the screen. But I had my moment when I applied for the milestone on YouTube. The checkmark arrived after a few days, and my plaque after a month. I was so elated, so proud. I felt on top of the world. How did I reward myself? By working more on my channel. I grind-setted that Stealth Archer video like no tomorrow. It was going to be my legacy to the BG3 community. The build seriously hits all the notes for me. It's fun, it's engaging, it's different, and it works early. Most of all, it suits the thematic roles of a few Origin characters in the game. It was my baby darling playstyle, and the updated build video was not going to be just another build guide. I wanted to equip the viewer with a foundation and deep understanding of game mechanics and build craft. This would help them get to grips not only with my own Stealth Archer, but with any build they wanted to develop themselves in the future. I don't believe in rote learning. Copying someone's instructions or build without a grasp of their fundamentals doesn't help a player out of a tricky situation. However, understanding why the things are the way they are, why I choose certain gear pieces, and why I make certain leveling decisions, and why I use this skill over that skill, and so on, highlights the sort of thought process that went into the build and provides a more comprehensive foundation for a player to work from. That 2-hour Stealth Archer lecture is going to be my final build guide, kind of my parting gift, so to say, to the BG3 community. As much as I love technical and fun build concepts, they don't strike my creative brain enough. In terms of video production, I enjoy silly narratives where I can show off my personality and writing off a bit, and it's lots of fun editing more creative videos rather than purely informative ones. Although that being said, I do have a strong gut feeling that there is a super duper OP hidden build only 0.69% of players have found, but until it's actually here, I enter hibernation status with builds. I get asked a lot for other build guides, especially Hexblade and Swashbuckler. I've played them and I can't make them fit my strict criteria. I prefer builds that are thematic, conceptually different, and engaging. And if a build isn't online by level 6 or earlier, I'm almost certainly not interested. Can I say how grateful I am for this amazing community? If you hear this right now, I just want you to know that I appreciate you immensely. I honestly believe time is the most important commodity in our lives, and the fact that you choose to watch my content or spend time with me during the live stream is honestly so precious to me. I am finding it hard to pick the words to articulate how actually grateful I am to you. So sincerely, thank you. Thank you for all the time spent together and supporting me on my journey. I struggle a lot with thinking, is my content good enough for my viewer? It's always been a shower thought, and I know it's probably just the anxiety and imposter syndrome talking, but it does help drive my desire to improve. I get asked about my process a lot, and it's really simple. I have a core idea, and I ask myself, does it benefit the viewer in any way? Is it informative? Can I make it entertaining? If I can't make all three of those work, it's not worth it for me to make the video. That being said, I'm still pretty new to this, and I'm still experimenting with what works for me and for my audience, but it helps keep me on track. It's been a long road, but I'm pretty happy with my branding. Though I don't think my branding was super intentional from the start. It just kind of became this way. Like the star of the show is Mummy Milkers. In a game where you could roleplay as anything, I chose the most basic race with the most cooked shitpost of a name. I'm so surprised that over the years, so many people could relate to her game-breaking and chaotic nature. She is an actual queen and girl boss, something that I'm definitely not. Sure, she is an extension and projection of my actual personality, but she is also an exaggerated fantasy of some of the ways I wish I could be. I do get questions of where her name originated from. Well, the story isn't all that exciting. Basically, I struggled to come up with a fantasy name for my BG3 character, and I even tried those online name generator things for D&D. I got so sick of it, so I was like, it. We'll just do a shit post of a name. And that was the first thing that came to mind. Her lore and backstory isn't all that deep. Mummy Milkers is a country gal with sadistic urges. She loves farming, hunting, and drinking whiskey. As she grew up, all the living things around her started to expire. Her violent tendencies began to surface. She may be the last thing you see. I've come to adore and love her so much. She is so fun, and I always look forward to silly game-breaking adventures with her. With all that being said, I'll wrap up here with answers to a few of the questions I get asked the most often. Will you continue to keep doing BG free content? When I make a video, I believe that even if one person is inspired and has a fun playthrough, then the effort and time is worth it. It genuinely makes my day hearing people say that they had a blast with their own spin on a popular build or challenge run, or they had a memorable time playing co-op with friends or significant other. So don't worry, I won't leave my baby behind. BG free will always be the core of my content. It gives me immense joy to share my knowledge of the game with others. And with new people finding the game even now, and the community working on huge elaborate mods, I feel like there will always be something to talk about or discover. Will you cover other games? I love games. In fact, I grew up with games for as long as I can remember. My mother introduced me to a PlayStation when I was quite young. We were playing Bomberman against each other, and yeah, lots and lots of other games since then. That being said, I need to survive. I know you subscribe to me for my BG free content, which I truly get. It's not financially feasible for me to create many videos on other games currently. But with that being said, I wouldn't mind just streaming them for fun. However, I am in love with Player Obscure currently, and will be taking a one video break from BG free to create that journey. I also have plans for an indie game series. However, that is on the back burner until BG free quiets down, and only if Larian doesn't decide to officially introduce the Twilight Cleric subclass for Shadowheart. You wouldn't do it, Larian. You're definitely not cool enough for that. Speaking of Larian, I honestly think Sven is a knight in shining armor within the game industry. I mean, quite literally, he's truly in touch with his audience and his company, and clearly has them both in the forefront of his decision making. I have no doubt that the next release will be a banger. I'm actually really excited to hear their next announcement, and I will probably cover Larian extensively on this channel, as I have massive confidence in their work and their approach to the industry in general, and I want to highlight and support that. Will I make or commission any more mods in the future? As of currently, I'm in collaboration with Skirbie on a camp clothing pack. I was kind of sick of waiting until Act 3 for the drip, or needing one of those huge outfit mods just for the sake of a couple of outfits. I just wanted a single camp clothing pack. The first drop will probably be this weekend, with plans to add more garments in the future. Skirbie is amazingly talented and passionate about what they do, and that resonates with me in a way that's difficult to articulate. Instead, I'll say I was lucky enough to get a chance to follow my weird passion, so I want to support them as much as I can in pursuing theirs. My favorite weapon collab with Skirbie is Winter's Rose. It's based on my personal claymore, and it was so fun to design the concept around proning and ice skills. Another friend of the channel is XiphiasRex. His Radar Holding mod remains one of my favorite mods to this day. There is nothing better than stuffing my entire trading card collection inside of a magical dead rat. Like, which hole is it going to? Thank you so much for the kindness and support over these 2 years. Did you know you're cute? I'm gonna pour a glass of American honey to y'all. This whiskey may be sweet, but it ain't sweet as each and every one of you. Cheers to Baldur's Gate 3 and to Larian for bringing us together.